News Channel 8 is your local election headquarters, and this is Politics on Your Side. After a former student killed 17 people at Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland on Wednesday, students at the school have been changing the conversation, joining others across the country in pushing for gun control. One of those joining their calls for reform is Senator Bill Nelson. I was in Parkland this week covering the shooting, and Senator Nelson dropped by to speak with me one-on-one about what more lawmakers can do.
We've seen so many of these measures fail. We've seen so many of these mass shootings. What about baby steps? We're not even able to quantify the problem because of the Dickey Amendment passed in 1996. And we saw an op-ed last year where he actually joined with a member of the CDC, Rosenberg, and said this was a mistake. We need to start quantifying this problem. Is that maybe a baby step that we can take to have the CDC start researching these stats on gun killings?
Let me give you a couple examples of baby steps. How about taking the terrorist watch list? Something as common sense as that, and saying you can't buy a gun. You can't get on an airplane, so why not a terrorist on the watch list not be able to get a gun? We have not been able to pass that. Let me give you another baby step. Why not saying anybody purchasing a gun, there's going to be a criminal background check, and it will be mandated on all the states. See, in Florida, that was passed as a constitutional amendment in 1998, but it's never been implemented and enforced in Florida. So just do that as a baby step, and then get to the point of the big elephant in the room here that's not being discussed. They're talking about school security. They're talking about, mental health, all of which is very important. But the elephant in the room is, should that kid have been able to buy an assault weapon, and it was legal for him to do so?
And not being able to pass any of those gun laws maybe is why I'm asking whether research into it, CDC funding to research gun deaths, could that be a possible?
That's another baby step, and it should be done.
You mentioned the Florida legislature. What can they do? You really think this is on them?
Well, what they could do is just what I just said. All of those first steps could be done as it applies to the state of Florida. We need to do that as it applies to the entire country. You ought to do both.
Senator Nelson, thank you very much.
Florida's other senator, Marco Rubio, claims something needs to be done about gun control, but he doesn't believe any of the past proposals would have stopped the school shooting in Parkland.
I'm just trying to be clear and honest here. If someone's decided I'm going to commit this crime, they'll find a way to get the gun to do it. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have a law that makes it harder. It just means understand, to be honest. It isn't going to stop this from happening.
Senator Nelson disagreed with Rubio there. He is being criticized for being insincere. Some critics claim he can't speak honestly about gun laws when he takes money from the NRA.